Hello yarn friends. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this little bee keychain. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I release new tutorials and videos. I also do yarn giveaways. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the materials that we will be needing for today's tutorial. Alright guys, so the materials that we will need is some yellow yarn, some black yarn, and some white yarn. This is 4-weight yarn, and I am just using some Caron Simply Soft medium 4-weight yarn. The hook size that I will be using today is a B 2.25 millimeter. So along with the 2.25 B crochet hook, you will also need 6mm eyes, safety eyes. You will need a keychain, the tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and some sort of polyfill. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to make this item. Okay guys, so to begin we want to start with a magic ring, magic loop, and if you do not know how to do this, please click the link right here, and I do have a video demonstrating how to do this. So once you have this, you want to make 6 single crochets into that ring. So here's 2, 3, so go ahead and do that and meet me back here. Alright, now that I have my 6 single crochets, you just want to go ahead and pull this ring closed as tight as you can, because this is going to be the face of where our bee is going to be. Okay, so into that first stitch, it's going to be a little hard to see, you guys, but here is 1, and if you need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is 6. Just go into that first stitch. We're going to be increasing into every single stitch around. So we're going to be placing 2 single crochets into the first stitch. But once you get your first stitch made, what you want to do is make sure that you grab your stitch marker and you put that in there, because we are going to be working in the rounds and we do not want to get lost. So there is our first stitch. We need to place 1 more back into that stitch. So right back into that same stitch. Now into the following stitch, you will place 2 single crochets, and we will continue to do this all the way around. And at the end of this round of row 2, or excuse me, yes, of round 2, because round 1 we placed the single crochets in there. So at the end of this round you will have a total of 12 single crochets. So go ahead and do this and I will meet you back here. Okay, you guys, so this is what it should look like when you get done with row 2. Now moving on to row 3, we are also going to have this as an increase row, but into the first stitch we are simply going to make 1 single crochet. And if a little trick to make this not as tight, just make sure that you're not like putting too much into your tension, and that'll just make it a little bit easier to work through these stitches, but you also don't want them too loose, otherwise you will have holes and you will be able to see the stuffing. Okay, so into the first stitch you place 1. Now into the second stitch right here, you are going to place 2 single crochets. And then into the following stitch, you'll place 1 single crochet. Into the following, you will do 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Oops, sometimes that happens when you're working with this tighter yarn, or the bigger yarn with a smaller hook. It makes it a little bit harder. Okay, so 1 and into the second stitch, so I need to add 1 more. Okay, so go ahead and continue to do that for this increase row, and I will meet you back here for round 4. Okay, you guys, so now we should have 18 stitches at the end of row 3. Now, moving on to row 4, we are going to do the last increase row, and then we will be done increasing. So into the first stitch we are going to place 1 single crochet, into the second stitch we will place 1 single crochet, and into the third stitch we will place 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So we are just doing the standard increase for this. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here for row 5. Alright, my friends, so this is what it should be looking like. Now we are done with the increase rows, so go ahead, do 2 more rows, or 2 rows I should say, of 1 single crochet into every single stitch, and then meet me back here and we will go ahead and grab our eyes, attach that, and actually go ahead and do that. 2 more rows of single crochet, and I will meet you back here. Alright guys, at this point I just take my hook out for a moment, and you can just pick the best spot where you think you want to put the eyes. I'm going to go up 1, 2, I think I'm going to do in between the third, 1, 2, 3, in between the third and the fourth row. I'll get a little bit closer. So here's the first part. So I'm going to count that 1, 2, 3 in between the third and the fourth. I'm just going to pop an eyeball, and it's going to be tight because we have tight stitches, so just make sure that you have the right placement because this is going to create a bit of a hole. So go ahead, pop your eye in, and meet me back here. Okay, so now we want to thread our tapestry needle. Now that we have our eyes on there, I just went a couple stitches over. We have the backing on there. Now for my mouth, I just like to start from the back and go to the front. I'm going to just do this. Oh, I'm gonna come up on the eye over here. And you guys can do however you would like for the mouth, but this is the way that I do like to do it. So coming from the back to the front, leave a little bit left to sew, and then I just do kind of like a triangle type. So then I go down, I just pick a point, and I go back in and pull this through. And then I come back from the back to the front. I come back out underneath the opposite eye, just like this. And then I go back down into the center from before. And then we will secure this tight with a knot in the back, and then we want to jump back over to crocheting the rest of our bee. So there's my little smile. If you guys want to do it a little different, you can, but go ahead and do that. Grab your crochet hook once you are done making your mouth. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and make a knot, and meet me back here. All right, now that we are done with our mouth, we simply want to do 1 more row of single crochet into every single stitch, but you want to stop at 1 stitch before the stitch marker, because we are actually going to go ahead and change our yarn color at that point. So go ahead and place 1 single crochet into every single stitch and meet me back here. Right before the stitch marker is when you meet me back here. Okay guys, so here I am 1 stitch before the stitch marker. Sorry about that, now we're in focus. And so in order to change our color, we are simply going to go in, pull up a loop, which is going to be with our yellow, and we're not going to cut this or anything because all of this is going to end up on the inside. So we are just going to grab our black yarn and finish off our stitch by pulling through with the black. So just make sure that our yellow is kind of held tight with our finger in the back. And now into the first stitch, we are going to use our black yarn to make that first stitch and place our stitch marker. All right, and so now this part is kind of up to you for the next few rows how you want to do your black and yellow stripes. So I think at this point I'm going to do 2 rows of black stripes for the bee. So go ahead if you're going to follow along with me and make 2 more rows of black and meet me back here, and we will go ahead and do that color change again. All right, you guys, so I am 1 stitch before the marker, and because I did not cut the yellow yarn, I still have that right here. So all I'm going to do is simply pick that up to finish off that stitch right before the marker. And now I'm going to be working with my yellow yarn. I'm going to do, let's see, 2 more rows of yellow, and then I'm going to switch over to 1 row of black, and then meet me back here. So do 2 more rows of yellow, 1 row of black, and meet me back here. We will start to work back down to the decrease, and let's go ahead and get that going. Okay guys, so this is what it is looking like. I went ahead and cut my black yarn because I will no longer be needing that. Now we are going to switch over to our yellow. I'm going to do 1 row of simply single crochet into every stitch for 1 row with the yellow, and then we are going to make a decrease row. So go ahead and do 1 row of single crochet with the yellow after your last row of black, and meet me back here. All right guys, so we are going to go ahead and start decreasing. Now into the first stitch we are going to place 1 single crochet and place our stitch marker. Into the second stitch we are going to place 1 single crochet, and over the next 2 stitches we are going to do a decrease. So we're going to put our hook in, drop a loop, go into the hook or the stitch directly next to it, drop a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So we are going to continue to do that all the way around. So into 1 stitch we will place 1 single crochet, into the second stitch we will place 1 single crochet, and then over the next 2 stitches, this one and this one, we will make a single crochet decrease. So into and drop a loop, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So go ahead and continue to do that all the way around, and I will meet you back here for the next round. All right, so at this point, if you would like to add some stuffing, it just makes it a little bit easier as we start working on, because we are going to be continuing to decrease and close up our bee. So into this next row that we're going to do, we are going to be decreasing again. Let's make sure that we have a nice bit of stuffing. It gets a little bit harder to stuff this as we move on. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty appropriate. Okay, so moving on to the next decrease row. Into the first stitch, we are going to place 1 single crochet and replace our stitch marker. Remember, we don't want to forget that, especially on these decrease rows. Okay, now over the next 2 stitches, we are going to make a single crochet decrease. Into the next stitch, we will place 1 single crochet, and then over the next 2 stitches, we will do a single crochet decrease. So go ahead and do this all the way around. Just try to do it as tight as you can there, and I will meet you back here. All right, my friends, moving on, we want to do a decrease into every stitch around. So going into the first stitch, we are going to start with a single crochet decrease, and then we will place our stitch marker back into this place here. So when we're doing our decreases, we really want to try and make sure that we're doing them tight, or else we are going to be able to see them. So into every stitch, we are going to be making just a decrease. We want to close up the bottom here. So I am actually just from here on out until I close up the little bottom, I'm just going to be decreasing over every 2 stitches, and do that as well, and then meet me back here. We will go ahead and move on to the wings and adding those. So just continue to decrease until we get this little hole closed up. Before you totally completely close this hole, make sure that your bee has enough stuffing to your desire. If you want to take out a couple stitches, you can, and just like I like to make sure that there's just enough room to poke in my the end of my hook. And so if you feel like it needs a little bit more, like I noticed, I almost just got gung-ho with closing it up. Just add more stuffing and then continue to close up the bottom of your bee, and I'll meet you back here. Alright guys, so the bottom of my bee is closed up, so I'm just going to secure that and grab my tapestry needle, and I'm actually just going to kind of run this through a couple times just to kind of, even that up, sew it in and cut it off. So go do that, meet me back here. We want to take away our yellow yarn. We are done with our black yarn, and let's grab our white yarn once you sew this in, and we will begin to make the wings. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you how to make one of these, and then you will have to make a second. So we are going to start with a magic ring like so, and then we are going to place 4 single crochets into that ring. So here is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to pull that tight. Okay, so now we're going to chain up 1 and actually turn our work, and we're going to increase 2 into every single stitch. So I'm actually going to make this into a half double crochet. So there's 1, so we're going to yarn over and go in. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, go through all 3. So we're going to make this an increase. So we're going to do 2 of the half double crochets into every single stitch. So 1, 2. So at the end of row 2 for the wings, you'll have a total of 8 half double crochets. And here's the last 1 and 2. Okay, so now we have our 8. So to finish off, we want to chain up 1 and cut our yarn. If you want to have bigger wings, you can definitely add more rows, but for me, that is good enough. So I'm going to grab my scissors, cut this just like that, and pull that tight. Now, from the center of the wing, we want to leave this because we are going to be using that to sew it to the body of our bee. But we do want to sew in the end for the corner that we just did over on the other side. So go ahead and do that, and then make a second wing just like we did. Super, super easy. If you need to rewind this video to do that, you can. But make sure that you are leaving the center tail. So go ahead and do that, and then grab your tapestry needle, meet me back here. I'll kind of just point to you where I sew these in at, and yeah, so go ahead and make a second wing and meet me back here. Okay guys, so when it comes to the placement of the wings, it is really up to you. Now I'm going to cover up this little Andrea's Fault guy here, I think by putting in a wing right here, and then I'm going to put a wing on this side, and then I will put my keychain part in the middle. So I'm just going to kind of wing this and just try and cover up this little color change part by adding the wing right here. Sorry about that, I went out of focus. So just going in and out through the stitches, and as I come back through, like right here, I'm going to pick back up the wing. So this really just all depends on how you want to place your wings. I have seen them done in all different styles. You could have them closer together. So do this however you would like, and then I'm going to add my keychain and I'll show you guys what the finished product looks like, because we are pretty much done for the most part. Alright you guys, and this is what it should look like once you have your wings sewn on and everything is all closed up and you have your little keychain on there. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I hope to see you guys all next time for another one of my tutorials. Thanks so much.